Okay, we start this hour with our top story. And reports are coming in that the Chinese President Xi Jinping and United States President Donald Trump have held a phone call today. The leaders discussed key issues, including a potential agreement to keep the video app TikTok operational in the United States, as well as ongoing trade tensions between the two superpowers. Reportedly, this marks their first known conversation in 3 months. Both sides are also exploring a possible in-person meeting at the APEC summit in South Korea later this year. Okay, we're now joined by Andrew Latham. He is a professor of international relations, and he is hopefully joining us in just a second to discuss this further. So the Chinese and US counterparts speak over the phone today. This comes as finally a deal is made, or so President Donald Trump says, over the sale of TikTok, the video app, which has apparently found a buyer in the United States so it can remain in the hands of its 170 million American users. The Chinese owned app was facing a banning in the United States if a sale was not made, but according to the US president, it has now been made. Okay, we're now joined by Andrew Latham to discuss this further. Andrew, we've just coming from the news and reports that the US and Chinese presidents have wrapped up their phone call. Of course, this comes amid ongoing trade tensions and the sale of TikTok and the prospect of a possible meeting later on this year at the APEC summit in South Korea. What's the significance behind this?
Well, I think the big picture is maybe some kind of détente on the trade front, at least, between the U.S. and China. The structural tensions have not gone away. They remain competitors, great power competitors, economic competitors, but both see it as being in their interest now to dial down the tension and the frictions a little bit. And so we see that with respect to, looks like some kind of deal on tariffs is either done or in the offing. The meeting of the two leaders at the APEC summit, possibly, that's on the cards. And then the one that gets a lot of high-profile coverage is the TikTok ban, which is American law. It's U.S. law that TikTok, as parent company, has to sell it. But it looks like President Trump has done some kind of a deal which satisfies his base. And we have to recall that President Trump, during his recent election campaign, relied heavily on TikTok to appeal to youth voters who turned out in unprecedented numbers in support of him. So he has an interest in maintaining TikTok as a viable concern in the United States. There are some legitimate national security interests which are likely to be addressed in this deal, if I can call it that. So all good developments, I think. They don't get to the heart of the issue or the tensions between the U.S. and China, but they certainly dial down the rhetoric and some of the policy initiatives.
Yes, and Andrew, this, of course, is a possible precursor to a possible meeting in South Korea later this year at the APEC summit. Now, Donald Trump and Xi have met 3 times before. Once in Mar-a-Lago in 2017, then a state visit to China later that same year, and then at the G20 in Japan in 2019. What have you made of their interaction so far? They're both very big characters, very big presences of course, in their governments. What are your thoughts on their relationship and what we can expect from that meeting with the two leaders interacting?
Well, I think the lines of communication between the two states are pretty good, irrespective of the two leaders. So that needs to be put on the table, first of all, I think. But secondly, it doesn't hurt for leaders to have good interpersonal relations, even if they disagree, even if they're channeling national interests that may be aligned, may be mutually incompatible. but to have them sitting down, at least metaphorically, but in this case literally, at a table together and talking about some of these big issues, I think can help smooth waters that would otherwise be quite roiled, and that's a good thing. Whether the two of them will actually come to any substantive agreements on some of the big issues, I doubt that. They will set the tone. They will perhaps provide some guidance to their administrations, respective administrations, who will then go about the hard work of negotiating deals on either economics or the way in which they interact around the South China Sea or the Taiwan Strait or some of those big tension points between the two countries. So I would expect more of what we have seen in Trump 1.0 when he was interacting with Xi Jinping, and perhaps some of the optics we saw at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit a few weeks back. Some handshaking, some backslapping, some nice, encouraging rhetoric, respecting each other. But in terms of fundamentally changing the dynamic of this relationship, I don't think we should be betting too much on that.
Yes, Andrew Latham, do stay with us. We are now moving next to Europe's defining crisis, where